you guys should be so proud of what's going on in this great nation. I cannot compare it with any nation in terms of ambition, and it's more than just about the projects. I can see NEOM, I can see Virginia, and all the big projects, but they're amazing. But what I get is this feeling of the people who are proud and developing and transforming a nation. So congratulations. And so it's really important that CIPS is here, because CIPS is about people fulfilling their potential, and us enabling that, and businesses fulfilling their potential by creating the training, the learning, and the business diagnostics for businesses to get better and better at what they're doing. That's what CIPS does.
Here to inspire the world with Mr. Ben. How are you, Mr. Ben?
Amazing. Thank you so much. Great to be able to join you today.
Back-to-back meeting, huh?
Sure. But I arrived last night in Riyadh from London, straight here. And I have to say, I love being here. I've been the CEO for 6 months of CIPS. And I've travelled the world, all over the world, meeting the CIPS teams around the world. We've got members in 180 countries, but I've been to different continents. And the most impressive country I've seen is Saudi Arabia.
This is the first time you are in this?
No, I've been twice already. This is my third time in 6 months here.
Wow.
But I can tell you, you guys should be so proud of what's going on in this great nation. I cannot compare it with any nation in terms of ambition, and it's more than just about the projects. I can see NEOM, I can see Virginia, and all the big projects, but they're amazing. But what I get is this feeling of the people who are proud and developing and transforming a nation. So congratulations to everybody here. This is amazing.
We are proud of having also great leader, our Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. They said to all citizens here, living here, that I am among great society, great people. They are just putting goal and they achieve it.
I can see this. And one of the things, I've gone back to the UK and I've been talking with the government about a national vision. And I've been helping the government think about this. And I'm helping with some work about a future vision for the United Kingdom, because I was inspired by what I saw here and some of the other countries in the Middle East. So I really think you're very well led, and you guys are developing so quickly. It's very impressive.
Yes, and we are happy that we are, contributing to this Vision 2030.
Completely, and I meet so many people who talk about their contribution to the vision, and I can see it's motivating society, and I love it, and it's inspiring to see.
Yes, so I'm, amazed that for the 6 months you are traveling a lot. We just follow you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Many pictures at many countries and 3 times in KSA. So this is amazing.
Important. This is important to us. We know that we have got a lot to contribute in a society, in this country that has such big plans underway. And so it's really important that CIPS is here, because CIPS is about people fulfilling their potential, and us enabling that, and businesses fulfilling their potential by creating the training, the learning, and the business diagnostics for businesses to get better and better at what they're doing. That's what CIPS does, and it's been doing that since 1932. Ooh. Amazingly. And let me just tell you about a little bit of history, because it's really relevant now. In 1932, in London, a group of businessmen got together. They were in the steel industry. And you know what they were worrying about? It was called the Smoot-Hawley Act in America. It introduced tariffs to goods imported to America. And CIPS was created because what was happening, it was protectionism in the USA. They were previously exporting the steel to the United States, and this act came in on 20,000 different products going into the United States to protect the US industries. And this act was generated, and then in the UK they had to respond, so they created CIPS, as it was called the Purchasing Officers Association, to optimise trade and to share skills and develop, so they could do things really, really well. And here we are, nearly 100 years later.
So this is the reason.
This is the reason CIPS is here, because it was a response to global supply changes, and it couldn't be more relevant to today. And so we've been talking a lot about what's going on through the media around the world in response to the current tariff situation. So funnily enough, so much has changed in that time, but in an odd sort of way, the clock has turned around and we're talking about tariffs again and anti-protectionism and all those sorts of things. So this is interesting.
If you need just to summarize what CIPS is doing or CIPS is doing at the moment, what you could explain to the audience?
I think it does a number of things on different levels. First of all, it is the world's professional body for procurement and supply. So it's the only organisation in the world that can give you a qualification that you can have after your name to demonstrate your competence. So you would be MCIPS or a fellow, an FCIPS, which is like the ninja class of guys who are the top level. So that says I'm qualified, I've studied, I'm competent, I'm practiced, and I've done the job well, and I'm also up to date. So that's the first thing. It is the professional body. It can qualify people. There's no other organisation that can give you those credentials. The second thing is acts as the voice of the profession. So if there's a situation like the tariffs, we are called upon to give a view, and so the media, the BBC, I was on Chinese television, everybody asking me what's happening and what's your response. You can see the global supply chain, what's going on, and it was an opportunity for me to explain what's happening with global supply, the difference in the idea that President Trump had that American cars were manufactured in America. And I was able to point out that the most popular car in America, the Ford F-150, only 45% of the parts are American made and the rest is coming in through the global supply chain. So we understand that and we can act as a voice of the profession because we've got members in every country. And at the moment, we're having a conversation with members in China and India and you name it about the impact of the tariffs. So we are able to act as the voice around the world to say this is what's happening. This is best practice and this is what we're seeing in the world. So that's the second bit and then we are training and educating and teaching people. So if you were, for example, if you are leaving school, you're thinking of a career and you came to CIPS, we would be able to take you on a journey from little understanding to being a fully qualified CIPS member. And on Friday we had our graduation in the United Kingdom of students, actually from 20 countries around the world who'd done their qualifications. So they have qualified. Amazing. So it's about personal development and personal achievement and us enabling that. So you can do that on a personal level or an organisational level. You can go and do, for example, a procurement excellence programme if you're the Saudi Telecoms company, for example. We've been working with them on Saudi Railways. These are great organisations who are doing such important work here that they decided what they need to do is be the very best in class at doing that. So they've come to CIPS and we've done some work with them to understand their current level and then provided advisory services, and our programme has got them to the next level. So they are recognising the need to perpetually build skills and really get better and better at what they're doing. So that's what we're about.
Yes, so inshallah we will go in details with corporate details and the excellence program you are having. But just one thing, before moving to that part, what do you have as a strategy to Saudi Arabia, to GCC, to the globe as a CIPS?
Yeah, so I have, you would understand that before taking the job, I thought about where procurement and supply chain is at the moment. I was considering, as you would do before taking a job, what the prospects for the future might look like. And I did some work with people of academics and futurists, considering, what the future could hold. And I came to the important point of view that it's almost like this is the moment in time. I keep saying to everybody, the stars have aligned for procurement and supply people to be increasingly important and influential in the world. There are a number of reasons for that, but there's two guys that really stand out in my mind, like Tim Cook, who runs Apple. His background is procurement and supply chain. Mary Barra, she runs General Motors, procurement and supply. I think the nature of business in the future means that more and more people with this background are going to be leading organisations, because when you think about these organisations, what they are is all the geopolitical uncertainty that we see all the time is not going to change. Businesses are becoming increasingly extended enterprises. What I mean by that is no longer a business is just an entity on its own. It's enabled by more and more different organisations. I worked in a giant UK retailer. I remember starting there in 2011. I think we had 7 or 8 IT providers, and last year when I left, we must have had 350. So more and more businesses contributed to the success of other businesses. And procurement and supply people really understand supplier relationships, the complexity of project and contract management. So they're able to bring those skills along with ethical understanding, sustainability, a complex array of skills together to be increasingly relevant to the skills needed to lead big businesses in the future successfully. So this is what excites me, because I really believe it is now the moment. And if you're thinking of a career anywhere, my strong advice, and taking a completely rational and objective point of view, and I've travelled the world to reach this point of view before even taking the job, is this is an exciting profession to be in right now, because it's going to boom in the future. And I can see here in the Middle East about 10% a year, the number of jobs clicking up. This is really important.
10%?
Yeah.
What do you mean 10%?
10%. It's growing. The number of people employed and the number of jobs in procurement and supply chain is growing at about 10% a year in this region, in the Middle East region.
Okay, great. So if we need to summarize the CIPS strategy for KSA, GCC, and Globe, how do you summarize that?
We are increasingly growing our presence around the world. We are connecting the dots together. Our strategy is essentially to do a number of things. Increasingly act as the voice of the profession. I think we've been too quiet in recent years. When I look at the nature of the supply chains around the world today, we need to talk with more confidence about this. We need to inject confidence into the profession as a whole and talk really clearly about what we're doing. I'm 100% confident in what I'm saying about the future for this profession. So our strategy is to grow it. We're opening new offices in Africa, in West Africa and East Africa, the Caribbean, India, and we've already got offices in South Africa as well, Australia, New Zealand, and we're opening one. We've just opened one in Singapore, and we're going to be in Asia. So we're growing our footprint because of the point I'm making about being more and more relevant for what's happening today. And so we're joining the dots together in order to professionalize, to really, really share best practices and what's going on. So we were talking about AI before, and we want to share that around the world. We want to inform other people. So if you're a member of CIPS, you can be a member in Saudi Arabia, but you might be feeding other people about what's happening here, or they might be providing you with best practice. So we're sharing that information around the world. So businesses and individuals are getting better and better at what they're doing. So we're also then thinking about our strategy is to. I was talking before about being a qualifying body. Like, you can get your degree effectively through us. You can come in and educate, go through our programs to become an MCIPS, a member of CIPS, or a fellow of CIPS. What we're doing is we're increasing that to be what we call CIPS for life. So every stage of your professional life, we will be there by your side. And we're doing things like a new course that we're running for CPO, the Chief Procurement Officer, to become a CEO. So we're combining.
It's a new program.
Yeah. So we're combining all the skills that you would have for your procurement world with all the skills that you would need to bridge the gap from your current role as a CPO to being the CEO. Wow. So we've got this new course. It's working with the Inspirational Group. We're starting in June at the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, where I was in officer training there, but it's the place where leadership was really started as a study. It's the best place to study leadership in the world. And then we're going to do the second part of that course in this region. So we're beginning to say there's a lot in this profession for the future, and we're going to help people get there. So that's the most senior level. But also at an 18-year-old, we're going to help these 18-year-olds start their career, and we want to be alongside them every step through their professional life. So they'll say, I've changed my business, I've changed the business I'm employed in, but I've always had CIPS helping me get better and better and better, and now I'm the CEO or the chairman. Do you know what I mean? So,
great.
Yeah. So we want to be alongside everybody's base camp through their professional life.
We need just to know the CIPS role in terms of related to government, to corporate, to individual. While let us start with the government. So
we work with the governments in many, many nations around the world. And if I gave you a particular example where we're working in the with the Abu Dhabi finance, the government finance department at the moment, we've signed an MOU and they're starting a procurement excellence program where we are going to help them upskill the whole of the department and the whole of the government in the end, where they are saying, we have a responsibility. I think this is great. This is where we're all coming at it from. People are spending a lot of money, and that money needs to be spent for the nation's advantage in the most effective way. And by having people who are properly skilled and trained through CIPS, this is how we can demonstrate that commitment and that effectiveness. So what we're doing was helping governments. I spent a lot of time with the government in the United Kingdom now, and I was funnily enough, with the Scottish government last week. Everybody's very, very interested in what we're doing. So we're saying we can help them fulfill their responsibilities by training and developing their teams to be really effective in procurement in order that they can spend the money they have in a really responsible and effective way for the best outcome for that nation.
Great.
Yeah.
And what about the corporate level?
Yeah. So a similar thing, and I mentioned we work with many of the biggest businesses in the world. And we similarly take an approach where we would be able to say at a corporate level, there are a number of programs. We typically do a sort of skills gap analysis, an assessment, and then develop a program with them to do procurement excellence program type thing where we'd say, we understand your current level of competence and we feel that there's another level you can reach. And that would be to enable the best business outcomes. So we'd understand what the business is trying to achieve, and then we'd be able to develop the skills behind that and qualify individuals to say, I understand what you're trying to do. This is about creating value, and we are literally the orchestrators of value in a business. You simply will be able to demonstrate your KPIs are improved, the value for your business is better if you have people with the right skills doing the right job and understanding what they've got to do. And also that's understanding, the ethical standards. I think that's increasingly important as well. And we have some great, skills training around ethics and the ethics kite mark, which I think it does two things. It clearly helps people, but it also says to other organizations, we are the sort of organisation with whom you want to work because we're committed to our ethical standards. Do you know what's so interesting? When I have visited organisations who are committed, and I was with the Saudi telecoms company, and we were handing over our ethical certificates to them. But it's really interesting, those companies who commit to that are the companies I see committing to the highest standards in everything else as well. It's so interesting. You know how people generally say, well, I believe in values and I'm going to demonstrate the values. And being CIPS ethically qualified, I think, is a complete commitment to saying we are a good business to work with and do business with.
Yes, and there is a great story we're having here that the only war Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman enter alone is the corruption and the thing related to ethical. Once he win in this war, all other society minister involved with the Crown Prince and help him to move with the Vision 2030. So this is related. I believe the basic is ethical. Even I believe in FSIPS right now, the FSIPS, they stress more conditional. You have to get the ethical certificate in order to move with the next step.
Completely. And I really believe that. And what is really interesting, I was looking at the history of CIPS, and in 1932, when CIPS has this great crest, and on the crest there are a number of symbols, and there's two griffins, like birds of prey almost, and they were the symbols of good behavior and honesty. And, the whole thing is based around the idea that you and I would be good people to do business with. We can trust one another. And I think once you establish that and that ongoing relationship, it's just good for business. And so that commitment to ethics is incredibly important.
Yes, and I believe you are having... This is the excellence program?
Yeah.
This is the excellence program. It's a long journey.
Yeah.
And what about the individual now?
Yeah.
We move from government, corporate now to the individual, like me now. What
Yeah.
I have to do?
You can join our CIPS program, and you can progress effectively from you know in language that we would relate to every day, from being a beginner to intermediate to expert. So you can go through our programs, and we provide individual tutors to you and knowledge throughout that program. To develop your knowledge, you have to pass some exams, and you have to demonstrate your competence to do that. These are not necessarily the these are deliberately high standards. We set a high bar because it's a serious thing. And so, I was at the graduation I mentioned in the UK, and I was in Dubai at a graduation in October, almost the first week I was in this job. And people work hard to achieve these things. They are a great accolade for study. So it can take people 3 years to achieve them. There's study involved, mentoring, and a commitment to that. But what is noticeable is, we are seeing this growth in the profession, and also a number of people coming to me, like headhunters and businesses, saying, is this person MSIPS or FSIPS? So my advice to anybody who is progressing on their career is more and more headhunters and people are looking for people who are qualified, can demonstrate that. So, the qualification is an investment in your future. So I really feel I would urge people to A, recognise that it's growing, more and more people are needed, and B, you can differentiate yourself as a really attractive person to employ by being MSIPS and FSIPS qualified.
Yes, investing in yourself, and will end up on many perspectives. And one of them is the promotion, the elevating in your career, the money
Yeah.
wise. I
Yeah.
totally agree. Now, like
And I could just say that when we did a survey, we do this thing, a salary survey every year. And we noticed last year that the jobs that needed people who are CIPS qualified were attracting about 15 to 20% more pay in
Wow.
them. Yeah. So, I think it's very attractive for those sorts of reasons. Of course, it's, like any serious profession, like a doctor or a lawyer or any of these professions you need to qualify for, you need to, the reward is there.
It's look like that you said that the certification in CIPS is equal to 15-20% in your income.
Yeah, and there's a new salary survey just about to be published. And actually, what's been really interesting is how strongly recognised procurement suppliers in this region, in this country. And I think it's quite obvious how relevant it is to what's going on. Sometimes I go to countries and people say to me, well, I'm not really got a seat at the board table, or, I'm not really somebody who's playing a full role in the outcomes of the business. But I can tell you here, this is a different story. It's so strong here. Yeah.
And the CIPS is a non-profit organization.
That's correct. Yeah.
How you will explain that to the audience? Non-profit.
How do you mean? How do you?
Some of the people, maybe they will say, no, it is profitable. We are paying some money.
Yes. So we have to do that in order to be able to operate. And, if we get to a level where we would be so profitable, what I want to do is reduce the fees so it's more accessible to more people. There are parts of the world where we do a lot of charitable work with some of that. For example, we're very involved in programs in Africa, like Health Procurement Africa. For free, we are developing the procurement and supply chain skills of people who otherwise could not have any access to this education. And we've noticed by doing this, the mortality rates in remote villages in Africa are falling. So we're using some of the money that we're getting to invest back in for the success of the future, and societies that can't typically have access to some of this as well. So we're not here to make a lot of money in any way. What we are here to do is to develop people and organizations to be the best possible version of themselves. And where we can do that, where people can't afford it, is especially important to us as well.
And I believe the gaining money is more to sustainability, to have sustainable organization.
Completely. And, as I mentioned, 1932, and we always want to stay ahead of the game. We're always thinking about the future. I've done a lot of work about the future. So we're getting, new products and new techniques and tactics for education that we need just to have enough money to be able to keep going, keep sustaining ourselves.
So you were working as in the military sector, huh?
I was in the military sector. I was for 20 years. Yeah, I started my professional life after my university at the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst.
And this has helped you in supply chain more, huh?
Fantastic, yeah. It's a great education, you know. I would say I've been a student of leadership all my life. I study it. I'm very interested in it, and I'm continually looking at ways to improve, you know, individually, and also it's helpful in the way you're trained to think in a very systemic way that you could understand supply chain and you can understand taking a broad picture of an issue. It's not just a narrow picture, and that's when I think about the world we live in today, the global supply chain, how connected it all is. That sort of thinking has helped me a lot.
Yes, tomorrow remark one of great event for CIPS and the CIPS conference. And beside that, at night there is also award.
Yeah.
So why you develop such award program? What is the benefit of that?
I think it's, you know, well, firstly, I'm incredibly excited to be here. It's my first conference here. And literally, I've been thinking about what I'm going to say. And what I want to say is there was no place in the world I would rather stand than on the stage tomorrow morning to be able to talk about Saudi Arabia, about CIPS and what's going on here. It's just fantastic. And then in the evening, we've got the program to recognise everybody who've done such good work in the profession. And it's a chance to bring procurement supply chain professionals together for them to celebrate their success and their contributions collectively. And the benefit is really about recognition and then joining the dots together so people develop their contacts and their community and their friends and their network. And this is a sort of recognition and networking, so people can say, I'm a member of CIPS, I've got, you know, all my qualifications, but I've also got the benefit of membership, which is about all these connections. And we see, for example, people who move businesses, they stick with CIPS and they've got all their big network and they move around and then they're doing CIPS trading here and they get other CIPS people together. So it's about a celebration, recognition, and also creating this community where people can learn and grow together.
Yes, and one of the things I believe motivational message to work more and also helping the society, helping the corporate level to raise their bar,
Yeah.
to reach to the optimal way. And this is a good celebration. Now,
Do you know what? Can I just add? We have seen more entries for awards this year than ever before. More people saying, you know, my team are making a great difference in my business. Is really, we've seen that all over the world. Whether it was in Australia, and we've had more awards submissions than ever before. In the UK, we've got one coming up in, I mentioned, South Africa. So it's really interesting. This is why I'm saying this is like a growing thing, this profession, and everywhere over the world, people are excited about what's going on.
another thing, especially once we move to the new trending at the market now, similar to local content and how to circulate the economy within the country versus globalization. The other one is sustainability, the AI, how the CIPS is working with the trending subject.
Yes, thanks very much. So AI has been so interesting. When I started in October, I used to meet people and they typically used to say to me, what's happening in AI, in procurement? And I would say, well, this is, you know, early days, blah, blah, less than 5 months. I was telling them there are about 5 or 6 different ways I'm seeing it used. So we have used that and we've introduced AI courses for procurement now. And that,
It's a new one. Huh?
Yeah.
Similar to the CBO. To
yeah,
CO.
and also AI for C-suite, for people who are not procurement professionals but want to understand a little bit more about what you could do with AI in your business, for example. And the best examples I'm seeing, for example, of chief procurement officers are going to the CEO and saying, this is not just about improving my procurement function. I'm going to come to you and tell you how we can improve our business outcomes with the use of AI. And the very best one, I think, or there's a couple of really good examples. I was in Australia talking to a very big retailer there, and they said they're asking their suppliers what they're doing with AI, and the suppliers would say very proudly, well, we're getting more productive, we're 10% more productive because of AI. And then the guys would say, well, that's good, you can reduce the cost of our contract as a result because you're more productive, you're costing less. So it's interesting to see what's going on. But my big point is this is moving so quickly. And I think it's not to be seen as a threat to, it's not going to take your job. People will get familiar with AI and should be able to use it, but it allows people to think at another level, a strategic level, much more about the value and the contribution to the business outcomes, not so much about process. You can get the process done through process automation, through RPA or AI. I've seen that a lot, in around the world. People are getting there on that. And where I've seen people using it to add real value and then understand the business outcomes, and people beginning to think a bit longer term is what I see. So that's AI, and we're doing lots on that. And sustainability, we are about to recruit a new job as a head of sustainability. About the biggest contributor to global emissions is the global supply chain. So in truth, we have to get better, all of us, at this. And so we're working really hard with different organizations to create some education standards and learning to help people understand how they can be really effective in improving this.
We are aiming here in KSA to reach to the net zero carbon by 2060.
Yeah.
There is a special course similar to the AI for C-suite for sustainability, or still you are trying to work
there
on?
There will be. We haven't put it in place yet because we're going to get a real expert. We're searching the world for this person at the moment who's going to come and create this for us and with us. But we know this is part of the future, the requirement for us all to be able to talk about this, and circularity, and the global economy. So we're working on that, and it won't be long now.
What about the local content? As you know that newly established authority in 2018, the Local Content and Government Procurement Authority, and we keep the local content with the initiatives of related to the local factories, to the industries, to circulate the money within the KSA. So any special training for the local content, because KSA believing this is one of the...
I can give you an example where I think this is worth some thought for the businesses in KSA. When I was working in a UK retailer, and Russia invaded Ukraine, and I was leading the response to this, and I said to the guys, what is our content? What is our exposure? Do we understand this? And they said, oh, yeah, we understand. We've got some salmon and some caviar. We must take that off the shelves. But it was only a few weeks later they said, actually, we've got 3,000 ingredients in our own brands from Russia. They didn't really understand the supply chain. So I would encourage everybody to really understand what's the supply chain. When you talk about local content, really understanding what sits behind some of that, because I think it's probably less straightforward than people imagine. So there's AI that can help with that understanding, and also working on circularity and the opportunity that presents itself. And I'm really a big advocate of this sort of local content. I think it's an incredibly admirable approach.
Yes, returning back to the AI, our Minister Abdullah Suwaha said something about AI. The people and everyone is wondering if the AI, if the automation will replace the people. But he said that I'm pretty sure about one thing. The people will not get familiar with the AI, will be replaced by the people engaged more, get familiar with the AI.
Yeah, I can completely see that point. I would, on top of that point, which is about your job won't be taken by AI, it will be taken by somebody who knows AI. But I'd also add to that, I think at the heart of any business is its soul, and that's about human beings and the way we relate to each other, about relationships. AI might make us more productive as an organization. It might allow opportunities to see things and speed processes up. But in the end, we want to do business with each other. We want to relate to people. We want to have a working environment which is enjoyable. We want to find our friends and a community. And this is important. So I don't see AI as in any way replacing us. Actually, I see AI as an opportunity to enjoy our work even more.
It's AI is an opportunity.
It is an opportunity, and human intelligence is never going to be replaced by this, is it? And it's not imaginative, really, when you think about it. It's not creating a future. It's whatever we put into it, it is responding to that. It is artificial, made by us. So honestly, I think it's one of those things that could enable some useful activity in the future, but the soul of everything. I mean, one of the things I learnt in the army, people talk to me, and I got to a senior level in the army, and they talked to me about what I learnt was about, typically I think they think I learnt, I obviously did, about the battlefield. I learnt about military equipment. I learnt about Ministry of Defence and all that. But most of all, I learnt about human beings and human emotion. What it feels like to be in an organisation, what it feels like to be a leader, what it feels like to be led, what it feels like to live in fear, what it feels like to share an emotion. And that is so much more important than everything else. So there is no way that AI is going to replace us all in any way. So I think we just have to work as a tool. It's a useful tool.
Yes. So, what is the future and the vision for CIPS?
Okay, so I've done a lot of thinking about the future, and I'm so excited about what we're doing. I really am. And I've been thinking about the world in 2050. In like 25 years' time, we're thinking that there's going to be, there's about 8 billion people on the planet now, and we think it's going to be 9.7 billion people. 65% of those people living in urban environments. Imagine the demand for water and food. Imagine transportation at speeds we can only imagine, hyperloop technology, and quantum computing. I was in Dubai at the Museum of the Future, something called Lunergy, harvesting solar energy from space and sending it down to Earth. And that had the ability by 2070 to provide power to the whole of this planet. So this is changing the conversation about sustainability and energy. So I think when I've been working out what are the skills and the relevance, I think being a procurement and supply chain person in that world, providing all of the water and the food and the energy and the transport, this couldn't be more relevant. It's exciting, and people's expectations will be increasing all the time for convenience and speed of response and circularity and sustainability. So this is why I've got such a belief in what we're doing is going to be more and more relevant as we go through the next decades or so. So the vision for CIPS, to be honest, is huge. We are unashamedly confident and excited about our future. We are saying to people, this is a fabulous career. One of the very, very striking things when I travel the world and talk to people, I think as a profession, we must have the best retention in any profession. Nobody leaves. They love it. I honestly find it fabulous. It's so interesting. We've got so many people committed. When I see the CIPS branches around the world, it's fantastic to see. And so we're building on that. As I mentioned earlier, we're opening new offices around the world. We've got members in 180 countries. We're growing our membership base. I was just talking to the guys in India today and I had a conversation earlier. Honestly, there's not enough hours in the day to do what we're going to do, but it's a fantastic, relevant profession, and it's great that CIPS can play a part in helping people fulfill their potential.
How many members do you have at the moment?
We've got 70,000.
Wow.
Well,
Great.
yeah, and we've had we're growing. Literally last week we got another 1,500, and it's now
Only in 1 week.
Yeah, in 1 week. There were Canadians, all from the National Institute of Supply Chain Leadership in Canada. They decided that they were going to become dual members. In fact, in the end, 5,000 of them are going to, over the next month, become members of CIPS. Because it makes sense to work. It's a global qualification. So if you're in any country and you're thinking of maybe that some stage in the future you're going to go and work somewhere else, take your CIPS qualification with you. People will recognise it. So there's no other organisation can give you that mobility.
Great.
Yeah.
So, do you want to share any recommendation, advice to government, corporate, individual?
What's my advice? I honestly say get in touch with CIPS. We will be there to help you. Our purpose is not to make money. Our purpose is to help to make organisations better, and our motivation is to see success in organisations. So we celebrate through our awards. For example, as you know, it's happening here tomorrow. We are motivated to help people be the very best version of themselves, and organisations achieve achieve the same. And we've got, unusually, I would say, we have in our sort of bank of skilled people and amazing teams, people who've dedicated their life to this. So unlike going to a consultancy, for example, where those people are consultants as opposed to practitioners first, what you get with CIPS is people with decades of experience of doing this. So it's just the next level on of a skill set and understanding and wherewithal. So that's my advice. And also my advice to CEOs generally is think now about the supply chain and the procurement practices of the future, because I think sometimes in some organizations they're missing an opportunity to understand where that value is and can be created often in organizations. It's not in every organization as close to the front of mind as it should be, I don't think.
Okay, thank you very much. And we need just to say at the end our motto for the podcast channel, front of the camera, to inspire the world.
To inspire the world.
Thank you very much.
To inspire the world.